political parties are, in and of themselves, from and by a democratic structure, right? Political parties internally have a democratic structure.
A theatre.
No, genuinely have a democratic structure inside. And, if anyone would like to join, we always, want more people in our political parties so that they do give broader representation.
If you can avoid the branch stacking or the...
Well, I think that
in Victoria, not in Queensland, in Victoria. Sorry, David.
I think that what they do is they bring together, thousands of ordinary people who actually believe in an ideology and want an ideology that's close to them and want to be able to participate. So I think that most ordinary branch members are people who really want to participate in the debate. I saw some in the audience as I came in. And what political parties do is they offer, vision and values to be able to get people to the ideology that matches theirs best, and to be able to offer a representative democracy that means you get maximum participation, but also political parties that really mediate between a complex society as well. Like, that's sort of, the reality. I think in terms of, linking your question to David's, the real challenge with the big challenges to institutions is that the person who did that most readily and most recently was Donald Trump, when he said that, the election is rigged, when he said that everything's broken. I think that we need to be very cautious about making sure that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to democracy and its base principles and get taken in by people who are essentially trying to undermine systems to their own individual advantage as well.
Al, what do you think of the role of political parties in the system?
I don't want to bag them too much because you've taken enough flack already. I think the constituency services that members of Parliament bring to bear are fantastic. Having watched MPs operate at that constituency level, it's a massive benefit to democracy. Why is that? Because it's a participatory transmission belt between the people and the Parliament, right? But there's not enough of that. There's just not enough of that participatory process. So when it comes to parties, yes, we have the adversarial showboating, and that misses the point. Yes, they provide some degree of stability in terms of the business of government and a form of collective organisation within a parliament. I don't quite buy the stability argument. In 2011, the UK had a referendum on a voting system. We have a first-past-the-post voting system, which is just god-awful. You can regularly return a political party who has less votes than another one into power through first-past-the-post. And the argument made against it, which was successful, was it's stable. You know what you're getting. P.S., it's really crap, but you know what you're getting. It's a stable, terrible outcome, right? So that stability argument I don't always like. Russia's very stable with electoral outcomes, right? In the context of democracy, it's pretty predictable. So the problem of the adversarialism, but really Theodore has touched on the main issue. Where is the stake? I don't think, it's not just parties, I don't think the institutions that we have in parliamentary democracy know what the stake is. I don't think they know what it is. I think you can look at what we call in academia, but it's not practice, it's theoretical, we call wicked policy problems. Long-term, intractable problems that have existed for decades, which haven't been addressed through the current system. That's not a party problem, that's a wider institutional problem. Those issues remain today as they did when I was born and grew up in, the time of Margaret Thatcher. It's more than a party problem. We have to look at parliaments. Parliament's not just parliamentary question time, it's the main decision-making forum in a parliamentary democracy. And it's typically emasculated. It's really difficult to hold an executive to account through a parliamentary process. We have to look at how we include people through legislative processes, whether committees, function properly, whether the speaker has the capacity to stop the Punch and Judy pantomime. We have to look at that as an institution, and we also have to look at the media. When was the last time you read a story about political success? Politician does something wonderful for constituent. Anyone ever read that headline? No one's read that headline. You know, it's the media are hypocritical because they feed off the Punch and Judy pantomime, and then they run editorials criticizing that very thing. So we have this self-perpetuating problem of distance being created across parties, parliament, and the media. So there's lots of institutions that need to self-reflect.